fun. Yeah.
In the races, do they take turns being in the front like these do then?
In the big races, like if you're going for the Olympics, if you're one of the elite people, there is drafting. So that, yeah, you'll have a group go out. And that's really neat when you go and watch the triathlon, if you go and watch it here. Age group people can't do that. And they're letting some of the juniors do it now. So you see the people get in there and swim really hard, they jump out of the water, they run, they jump on their bikes, and they'll go out in a group. And then they'll take turns pulling, because it takes, you know, you would think it takes almost as much energy, but it doesn't. It's like half the energy just to get behind that guy and go. So you'll have groups work together so that they can try to drop another group, and then it'll just come down to the run to see who's going to be able to win on the run. They don't want age groupers doing the drafting because it can get a little dangerous. You know, if I'm riding along real fast and you're right behind me and your front wheel touches my back wheel, you're in the ditch and I'm probably in the ditch. So they don't want people doing that kind of stuff. It still happens, and you'll get a penalty for it if the referees catch you. But there's people out there who are racing and they either don't know or they'll take the chance on it, because I've had people draft off me because I can ride pretty fast. But you know, you just sort of, if I see someone doing that, I'm either going to speed up and try to drop them, which is tough, or I'm just going to slow down, and then they got to go by you. Because for me, like, that's a nice thing about being old too. The time doesn't really matter. When I beat the old guy, I beat him by 5 minutes. And what I did when I finished my swim and got out of my swim, I took the time to pull on a rain jacket and a long sleeve jacket, or a long sleeve shirt, and pull on some cycling shorts over top of my swim uniform. I still beat him by 5 minutes. So if it was a big race, maybe I don't do all that stuff. But in the upper age groups, it doesn't matter. In the younger age groups, like when Evan was racing, when he finished his 8th, the difference between him finishing 3rd and finishing 20th was probably 30 seconds. So if it takes you an extra 30 seconds to put on your clothes, then you're going to lose that time. Make a difference.
Okay, Gerry,
Yeah.
Can we ask you a short break
Yeah.
for you? And we will give right now, we ask Robin about her participation in Rio de Janeiro. So Robin, let's go, please.
Hi, so I'm Robin, and as Gerry mentioned, as Alex mentioned, I'm a pole vaulter. Does everybody know what pole vault is? Yes. Most people. If you don't know, it's the track and field event, not high jump where you go over the bar backwards, but where you're going over the bar after taking off on a big pole. Yeah, so I've been doing that for probably about 8 years now. I actually grew up in a small town in BC and then started when I went to university in Calgary. So I started kind of late, but I'm still pursuing it. I'm now working for the Duke of Edinburgh's Award, if anyone is familiar with the Duke of Edinburgh's Award. I know Brian is, yeah. Anybody else? Oh, but Alex, yeah, and, yeah. Olga, is it? Yeah, hi. Yeah, so I work for them now, but I'm still training pretty much full-time as well. And I didn't make the Rio Olympics this summer, in 2016, last summer. I had a number of my friends, my teammates that did make it, but I decided to go anyways, so to go and support them and go to see what I have to look forward to for Tokyo in 2020. So I had about 6 tickets, 1 beach volleyball ticket, and then 5 track and field tickets. And it was really neat to know so many people that were competing. I saw relays, 100 meter, 200 meter, 400 hurdles, long jump, lots of pole vault, of course. And then the beach volleyball was really amazing. The beach volleyball courts were right on the ocean, in like kind of an open stadium. So you're sitting up high in a stadium and you're looking right out over the beach, which is pretty, it was pretty stunning. Yeah, and it was interesting going to Rio. I've been to South America before, but they had military everywhere, tanks all down the streets. All the military had loaded guns for security. They're extremely precautious on their security measures at these major events now, the Olympics for sure. So that was, I think there'd been a lot of hype about the Olympics for those of you who read about it, and saying that there were tourists getting attacked and stuff like that. And so I got off the plane and I was literally like guns a-blazing, ready to protect myself. And they were so friendly. It was an amazing culture, and the people. I met some local Rio de Janeiroans on the plane, and they actually, two middle-aged ladies, and they personally dropped me off at the house I was staying at. And I met up with them during the course of my stay in Rio as well. So the people down there were just amazing, and I think the media really blew up some of the incidents that had happened, which of course would happen in any major sporting event or any major global event. So yeah, the culture, the language, the food, the setting, being right on the beach, the events, of course. I had some friends do really well, and some who made the Olympics and actually had like really unfortunate things happen where they, my good friend who's a long distance runner, she made it in the 5K for track and field, and she just kind of bonked. For those of you who know that term, she didn't sufficiently eat enough and have enough nutrition going into the day, probably nerves and anxiety and stuff like that too, and she could barely finish the race. She was well behind where she was expected to finish. So it kind of gave an interesting scale of, I was trying to make the Olympics. There was people who were trying to make the trials to get to the Olympics. There were people who made the Olympics and underperformed, and then there were people who made the Olympics and performed better or at their best. So it just really illustrated kind of that there's always something that you can look forward to achieve, and there's always going to be someone better than you as well. So it was really motivating for me to go and watch and see that scale and keep me inspired to keep training for the next few years. So. Yeah, and this is, I get to go to Canada House, which was great. They offer free meals there for all the Canadians who are kind of there watching and stuff. So we were on a tight budget, of course. So I stayed with about 15 Canadians that I knew from the track and field community from all around Canada. So we got a house together and we stayed there and went to different events, and we went to Canada House many evenings for free meals. They had screens everywhere where you could watch events from swimming and tennis and all different events. So that was really cool. Although it was tricky, or it was a little bit mind-boggling to be trying to speak Portuguese all day in Rio, and then you walk through Canada House doors and it's complete Canadian English. So you're switching your brain off a little bit, and you're eating Canadian food and stuff like that. So I tried not to spend too much time in there because I wanted to spend more